$450,000. That was the price she paid for defiling my Navy patrol boat, the last piece of my brother's memory. At 3 a.m., Karen Mitchell, the HOA president, thought she could sneak onto my dock and spray paint my boat like a petty thug. She believed her money and influence made her untouchable, that she could destroy the one thing tying me to my brother, lost at sea 5 years ago. For years, she terrorized our quiet neighborhood, bullying anyone who dared question her rules. But she messed with the wrong guy. I'm Jack Sullivan, a 40-year-old retired Navy mechanic, and when I caught her red-handed, I swore she'd regret it. What happened next tore her empire apart and left our community stunned. How did one boat bring down the most feared woman in Seaside Pines? Keep reading, because this revenge story will shock you. I lived in Seaside Pines, a small coastal town in North Carolina, where the air smelled of salt and the streets were lined with neat bungalows. My modest house sat at the edge of a marina, where my 1968 Navy patrol boat rested on a private dock. The boat wasn't pretty. Rust speckled its hull, and the paint had faded. But to me, it was sacred. My brother, Mike, and I served on a boat just like it during our last deployment. He didn't make it home after a storm hit us off the Atlantic. Every morning, I sat on the deck, sipping coffee, running my hand over the warn wheel, feeling him there. The boat was my way to keep him close, a memorial no one could take away. Or so I thought. Karen Mitchell, 55, ruled Seaside Pines, HOA like a dictator. She lived in a sprawling beachfront mansion, her blonde hair always perfect, her smile sharp as a knife. She inherited millions from her late husband, a real estate tycoon, and retired early to make everyone's life miserable. Her rules were law, fines for untrimmed hedges, complaints about mailbox colors, even bans on certain flowers. Neighbors whispered about her power trips, but never fought back. She had a knack for finding your weakness and using it against you. I stayed under her radar, keeping my boat docked legally on my property, thinking I was safe. Then the first letter arrived. It came on a rainy Monday, tucked in my mailbox on crisp HOA letterhead. Dear Mr. Sullivan, it read, signed with Karen's dramatic signature. Your vessel violates Seaside Pines aesthetic standards. Remove it within 30 days or face fines and legal action. My stomach twisted. The boat wasn't just legal, it was on my land, registered, and hidden from view by a fence I'd built to keep peace. I read the letter twice, my coffee going cold. Karen wasn't just nitpicking. She was targeting me. I tried reasoning with her. That afternoon, I knocked on her door, wearing a clean shirt, hoping to explain the boat's meaning. She opened the door, her 2 yappy terriers barking at her heels, and looked at me like I was dirt. Mr. Sullivan, she said, her voice icy, your junk heap is an eyesore. This is a respectable community, and we have standards. Get rid of it. I told her about Mike, how the boat honored him, how it was legally parked. I offered to add more fencing. Her lips curled into a smirk. Sentimental stories don't change rules, Jack. Move it or I'll make you. Her words hit like a slap, but I stayed calm and said I wouldn't budge. That's when she declared war. 2 weeks later, I woke to a nightmare. My boat was trashed, red spray paint spelled scrap across the hull. Navigation lights smashed, deep scratches gouged into the metal. The deck, where I'd sat remembering Mike, was covered in paint splatter. My coffee mug slipped from my hand, shattering on the dock. I couldn't breathe, seeing Mike's face in my mind, laughing as we fixed the boat's engine together. This wasn't just vandalism, it was personal. I snapped photos of the damage, my hands shaking. Then I saw it, a silk scarf, expensive, stained with red paint, lying near the boat. I knew whose it was. Karen had been careless. I emailed her that night, attaching photos of the damage and the scarf, demanding $7,000 for repairs. Her reply came fast, dripping with fake innocence. I'm sorry about your little boat, Jack, but don't make baseless accusations. Maybe get better security. She thought she'd won, but I wasn't done. I called my neighbor, Lisa Carter, a 35-year-old single mom who hated Karen's fines for her son's skateboard ramp. Lisa had a security camera pointed at my dock. Jack, you need to see this, she said, her voice trembling. At her house, she showed me footage from 3 a.m. There was Karen, in dark clothes, spray painting my boat, smashing lights with a crowbar, her scarf slipping off as she fled. Lisa grinned. We've got her. But Karen didn't stop. A week later, another HOA letter arrived, fining me $600 for property neglect and citing a vague rule about community harmony. Then came a bombshell, a certified letter with a property survey claiming my dock was on HOA land, not mine. The survey looked official, signed by Coastal Mapping Solutions. But something fell off. I compared it to my deed. The lines were wrong, shaving off 10 feet of my waterfront. It was a fake, and Karen was behind it. I wasn't just fighting for my boat anymore, I was fighting for my home. Karen's fake survey was a gut punch, but it lit a fire in me. If she thought she could steal my dock and erase Mike's memory, she was dead wrong. I wasn't just fighting for my boat anymore. I was fighting for my home and every neighbor she'd bullied. Seaside Pines was suffocating under her rule, and I had proof. Lisa's footage of Karen vandalizing my boat and that forged survey. But Karen was slick, always one step ahead, and I needed more than a scarf and a video to bring her down. What I uncovered next turned my blood cold and showed just how deep her corruption ran. I sat in my kitchen, staring at the fake survey, my hands clenched. The document claimed my dock sat on HOA land, but my deed proved otherwise. Someone had altered the lines, and Coastal Mapping Solutions didn't exist when I searched online. It was a bold move, even for Karen. I called my old Navy buddy, Tom Reed, a 42-year-old real estate lawyer who lived an hour away. Tom had seen his share of shady deals. "Jack, this is fraud," he said over the phone, his voice sharp. "Whoever faked this could face jail time. You got any enemies with deep pockets?" I told him about Karen, her scarf, and the footage. He whistled. "Sounds like a real piece of work. Send me everything." While Tom dug into the survey, Karen turned up the heat. Another HOA notice hit my mailbox, this time fining me $800 for unauthorized structures on so-called community property. Neighbors started avoiding me, their eyes darting away when I walked by. Karen had launched a smear campaign, telling everyone my boat was tanking their home values. At the grocery store, Mrs. Jenkins, a 70-year-old widow, whispered, "Jack, she's saying you're trouble. Be careful." Her voice shook, and I saw fear in her eyes. Karen wasn't just after me. She was scaring the whole town into submission. Lisa invited me over that night. Her 12-year-old son, Ethan, was playing video games, oblivious to our talk. "Jack, Karen's done this before," Lisa said, pouring coffee. "Last year, she fined me $500 for Ethan's ramp, saying it was unsafe. I paid to avoid her wrath." Her hands trembled. "She's got everyone scared. But that footage, we can use it, right?" I nodded, but my gut told me Karen would deny everything. I needed to know why she was so obsessed with my boat. The next day, Tom called with a bombshell. "Jack, that survey? It's linked to a guy named Greg Larson, a shady contractor Karen's been cozy with. He's got a history of forging documents for property grabs." My heart raced. Greg's name was on the fake survey, and Tom found emails between him and Karen, buried in public records from a past HOA dispute. They'd worked together to bully a retiree, Mr. Dawson, into selling his waterfront lot cheap. Karen had pocketed a cut. "This is bigger than your boat," Tom said. "She's running a scam." I decided to confront Greg. I found him at a local bar, a slick 50-year-old in a cheap suit, sipping whiskey. "Greg Larson?" I asked, sliding onto the stool beside him. He smirked, eyeing me. "Who's asking?" I leaned in, voice low. "The guy whose boat you and Karen tried to steal. I've got your fake survey and her on tape." His face paled, but he laughed it off. "You've got nothing, pal. Karen's got friends in high places." His confidence rattled me, but I snapped a photo of him with my phone just in case. That night, a new twist hit. Lisa texted me, frantic, "Check your mailbox." Inside was an HOA petition signed by 15 neighbors, demanding I remove my boat for lowering property values. Karen had gone door to door, spinning lies. But one signature stood out, Ethan's, forged in shaky kid's handwriting. Lisa was furious. "She's using my son's name to hurt you," she said, tears in her eyes. I hugged her, promising we'd fight back. Karen wasn't just a bully, she was a predator, and I was starting to see the full picture of her game. I met Tom at a diner the next morning. He spread out documents, his eyes grim. Karen's been skimming HOA funds for years, $150,000 at least. She pays Greg to fake surveys, then pressures owners to sell cheap. Your doc's prime real estate. My jaw dropped. My boat wasn't just an eyesore to her. It was blocking her next payday. Tom handed me a USB drive. This has everything, emails, bank records. But be careful. She's got a cousin on the town council. That was the hook I needed. Karen's empire was crumbling, but she was far from done fighting. Karen's scam was bigger than I ever imagined. A web of fake surveys, stolen money, and fear that choked seaside pines. Her cousin on the town council gave her power, but I had Tom's USB drive, Lisa's footage, and a burning need to protect Mike's memory. Karen thought she could bury me with lies and forged signatures, but every move she made pushed me closer to unraveling her empire. What I found next wasn't just a twist. It was a chilling glimpse into how far she'd go to win, and it made my fight personal in ways I never expected. I spent the next morning at the county records office, digging into the USB drive's files with Tom. The air smelled of dusty paper as we pored over Karen's financial trail. Bank statements showed $150,000 funneled from HOA fees to a shell company tied to Greg Larson. One document stopped me cold, an email from Karen to Greg, dated a week before my boat was vandalized. Sullivan's dock is the last piece, she wrote. Get it, and we flipped the marina for millions. My heart sank. My home wasn't just a target. It was the key to her biggest deal yet. Back home, Lisa called, her voice tight. Jack, you need to see this. At her house, she showed me a new security clip from 2 nights ago. Karen wasn't alone this time. A young guy, maybe 20, in a hoodie, stood by her as she spray-painted "Move Out" on my fence. His face was clear, pale, nervous, with a scar above his eyebrow. Lisa gripped my arm. That's Ryan, Karen's nephew. He's been doing her dirty work. My stomach twisted. Ryan wasn't just some thug. He was family, and Karen was dragging him into her crimes. I confronted Ryan that evening at the marina, where he was fixing a boat motor. Ryan, I said, keeping my voice steady, I saw you with Karen on tape. Why were you helping her? He froze, his wrench clattering to the ground. You don't get it, man, he muttered, eyes darting. She owns my mom's house. If I don't help, we're homeless. His voice cracked, and I saw fear, not malice. Karen had him trapped, just like the rest of us. Help me stop her, I said. He shook his head and bolted, leaving me with a sinking feeling. The next day, Karen struck again. A tow truck rolled up to my dock at dawn, with 2 guys claiming they had orders to seize my boat for HOA violations. I ran outside yelling, "You touch that boat, and I'm calling the cops." The driver backed off, muttering about a mix-up, but I saw Karen watching from her car across the street, her sunglasses glinting. She wasn't just bullying me. She was trying to take everything. I called Tom, who said, "Jack, she's desperate. That tow was illegal. We need to hit back hard." Tom set up a meeting with Emily Chun, a 32-year-old clerk at the town planning office who'd clashed with Karen before. Over coffee, Emily leaned in, her voice low. Karen tried to bribe me last year to approve a shady land deal. I said no, and she got my hours cut. She slid me a folder. Inside was a memo from Karen's cousin, Councilman Dan Mitchell, pushing to rezone the marina for condos. It clicked. Karen wanted my dock to sell the whole waterfront. "This is gold," Tom said, "but we need Ryan to talk." That night, a brick crashed through my window, glass shattering across my living room. A note was tied to it. "Back off, or you're next." My heart pounded as I swept up the glass, thinking of Mike. Karen wasn't just a crook, she was dangerous. I called Lisa, who was shaking when she answered. "Jack, someone slashed my tires last night. Ethan's scared." I promised her we'd end this. Then Ryan texted me out of the blue. "Meet me at the pier. Midnight." I'm done with her. My pulse raced. Was this a trap or the break I needed? Either way, I was walking into the lion's den. Ryan's text felt like a lifeline, but my gut screamed trap. Karen had already trashed my boat, faked a survey, and thrown a brick through my window. Now her nephew wanted to meet at midnight on a deserted pier? I wasn't stupid, but I couldn't ignore a chance to break her hold on Seaside Pines. Mike's boat, my home, and my neighbor's peace were on the line. What happened at that pier flipped everything I thought I knew about Karen's game, and it pushed me into a corner where revenge was my only way out. I arrived at the pier at 11:55 p.m., the ocean air cold and the waves crashing below. My flashlight caught Ryan pacing, his hoodie up, scar glinting in the moonlight. "Jack," he whispered, voice shaky. "I didn't want this." "She made me." Before I could respond, headlights flashed. A black SUV screeched up and Greg Larson stepped out, his smirk gone, replaced by a scowl. "You're done poking around, Sullivan," he growled, cracking his knuckles. Ryan's eyes widened. "I didn't tell her," he stammered. Twist number 1. Karen had sent Greg to silence us both. I grabbed Ryan's arm, pulling him behind a crate. "Talk fast," I hissed. He spilled everything. Karen had him forge signatures, slash tires, even plant fake evidence to frame neighbors. "She's got dirt on half the town," he said, voice breaking. "She keeps files, blackmail, payoffs, everything in her office safe." My heart raced. This wasn't just about my doc. Karen was running a criminal racket. But Greg was closing in, his boots thumping on the pier. I texted Lisa, "Call 911. Pier. Now." Ryan nodded, trembling. "I'll tell the cops everything. Just keep me safe." We dodged Greg, sprinting to my truck, but the night wasn't done with surprises. As we drove off, my phone buzzed with a voicemail from Emily Chun. "Jack, I found something big." Karen's cousin Dan pushed a $2 million loan through the council for her marina deal. It's dirty money, offshore accounts. "Meet me tomorrow." I glanced at Ryan, who was staring out the window, pale. "She'll kill me for this," he muttered. I felt a pang of pity. He was just a kid caught in her web, like Mike had been caught in that storm. The next morning, Karen hit back hard. I woke to a crowd outside my house, neighbors holding a petition to evict me, led by Karen in a crisp white blazer. "Jack's boat is a danger," she shouted, waving papers. "Sign here to protect our values." Mrs. Jenkins, shaking, refused to sign, but others caved, their faces guilty. Lisa pushed through, yelling, "She's lying. Jack's one of us." Karen's eyes locked on me, cold as ice. "You're finished, Sullivan." Then I saw it, her assistant, a nervous woman named Claire, slipping a folder into Karen's car. It looked like the blackmail files Ryan mentioned. I met Emily at a cafe, her hands clutching the folder. "Dan's loan ties Karen to a shady developer, Coastal Ventures," she said. "They're planning luxury condos, but the money's from a tax evasion scheme." My jaw dropped. Karen wasn't just a bully. She was tied to organized crime. Emily's voice dropped. "Jack, they know I'm helping you. My car was followed last night." Fear flashed in her eyes, and I realized we were all targets now. I promised to keep her safe, but my mind was on Claire. She was the weak link. That afternoon, I knocked on Claire's door, a small apartment near the marina. She opened it, her eyes red from crying. "I know about the files," I said softly. "Help me, and I'll protect you." Claire broke down, sobbing. "Karen's got photos of me. Stupid mistakes from years ago. She'll ruin me." Twist number 2. Claire wasn't loyal. She was trapped, just like Ryan. She agreed to get me the safes combination if I got her out of town. As I left, my phone pinged, a photo from an unknown number. It was my boat, rigged with a gas can and a lighter. The message read, "Last warning." Karen was playing her final card, and it was pure terror. The photo of my boat rigged with a gas can send a chill down my spine. Karen wasn't just a bully anymore. She was a threat to my life, my home, and everyone I cared about in Seaside Pines. Claire's promise to get the safes combination was my best shot at exposing her, but time was running out. Mike's boat, my last tie to him, was in her crosshairs, and so was I. What unfolded next wasn't just a fight for justice. It was a battle to survive, with twists that showed Karen's true darkness and a betrayal I never saw coming. I rushed to the dock at dawn, heart pounding, to check the boat. The gas can was gone, but fresh scratches marked the hull, and a faint gasoline smell lingered. Karen had been there, or someone she'd sent. I called Tom, my voice tight. "She's trying to burn my boat, Tom. We need Claire now." He agreed to meet Claire with me, but warned, "Jack, if she's got organized crime backing her, we're in deep. Watch your back." I nodded, thinking of Mike's laugh on that boat, and swore I wouldn't let her win. Claire met us at a park far from the marina, her hands shaking as she handed over a slip of paper with the SACE code. "July 19th, 52. Karen's out of town today," she whispered. The safe's in her home office, behind a painting. Her eyes darted around. "She's got cameras everywhere, Jack. If she catches me, I'm done." I squeezed her shoulder. "You're getting out of this." "I promise." Tom gave her his card, offering legal help to start over. As she left, I saw guilt in her eyes. She was hiding something. Tom and I planned to break into Karen's house that night. Lisa insisted on helping, saying, "Ethan's scared, Jack. We need her gone." We waited until 10 p.m., when Karen's mansion was dark. Tom disabled the alarm with a trick from his Navy days, and we slipped inside, hearts racing. The office was pristine, with a huge painting of Karen above the desk. I moved it aside, revealing the safe. The code worked, and inside were files, dozens of them. Blackmail photos, forged deeds, bank transfers to Coastal Ventures. One folder had my name, with photos of me on the boat and a note, "Frame for arson if he resists." My blood ran cold. Karen wasn't just planning to burn the boat. She'd pin it on me. Then came the first twist. A file labeled Dan Mitchell showed Karen's cousin wasn't just helping her. He was her puppet. She had recordings of him taking bribes, ensuring his loyalty. Tom whistled. This could take down the whole council. But as we stuffed files into a bag, footsteps echoed downstairs. We froze. A voice, Greg's, growled, "Check the office." She said they'd come tonight. Karen had set us up. I grabbed the bag, and we bolted out a window, landing hard in her garden. Sirens wailed nearby. Lisa's 911 call from the pier had tipped off the cops, and they were circling. We hid at Lisa's house, poring over the files. One page stopped me dead, a contract to sell the marina to Coastal Ventures, signed by Karen and a name I didn't expect. Claire. Twist number 2. Claire wasn't just a victim. She was a silent partner, skimming profits from Karen's deals. My stomach churned. I'd trusted her, but she'd played me, giving us the code to keep us busy while Karen planned her next move. I texted Claire, "I know you're with her." "Why?" Her reply came fast. "I had no choice, Jack. Meet me tomorrow, alone." "I'll explain." The next morning, Karen's final blow landed. A town hall notice hit every mailbox, announcing an emergency HOA meeting to vote on seizing my dock. Karen stood on her lawn, smirking, as neighbors read the flyers. Mrs. Jenkins whispered to me, "She's saying you stole those files, Jack." People believe her. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. Ethan's scared to leave the house. She's winning. But Ryan called, his voice desperate. "Jack, Karen's planning something big at the meeting. She's got a guy coming, someone dangerous. I'm ready to talk." The hook was set. Karen's empire was teetering, but her next move could destroy us all. Karen's emergency HOA meeting loomed like a storm cloud over seaside pines, and her promise of a dangerous ally had me on edge. The files from her safe, blackmail, forged deeds, and her plan to frame me for arson proved she was no ordinary bully. She was a criminal mastermind, and my boat, Mike's Memory, was the last obstacle to her $1 million marina deal. Ryan's call offering to talk was my only hope, but Claire's betrayal stung deep. What happened next wasn't just a twist. It was a plunge into Karen's darkest secrets, and it showed me the cost of fighting a monster who'd stop at nothing. I met Ryan at a quiet beach shack at dawn, far from Karen's prying eyes. His scar stood out against his pale face, and his hands shook as he lit a cigarette. "Jack, she's not just after your dock," he said, voice low. "She's got a hitman coming to the meeting. Some guy named Vince from Coastal Ventures. He's done dirty work for her before." My heart stopped. A hitman? Karen wasn't playing HOA games anymore. She was ready to kill. Ryan pulled out a burner phone. "I recorded her last night. Listen." The audio was grainy but clear. Karen's voice, cold and sharp, saying, "Vince, make sure Sullivan's out of the picture. Accident or not, I don't care." I gripped the table, thinking of Mike, and swore I'd end this. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. "My mom's sick, Jack. Karen pays her medical bills, but only if I do what she says." I slashed Lisa's tires, forged Ethan's name. I hate myself for it. His voice broke, and I saw Mike in him, a kid trapped by circumstance. "You're doing the right thing now," I said, pocketing the phone. But twist number one hit like a wave. Ryan admitted he'd told Claire about our peer meeting, thinking she'd help. Instead, she tipped off Greg, setting up the ambush. Claire wasn't just a partner, she was Karen's spy. I called Tom and Emily, meeting them at a diner to plan our move. Tom's face was grim as he listened to Karen's recording. "This is attempted murder, Jack. We've got her on racketeering, fraud, and now this. But we need Vince's identity." Emily nodded, pulling out a laptop. "I hacked into Coastal Ventures' emails last night," she said, her voice tense. "Vince Russo's a known fixer, arrested twice, but never convicted. He's coming to the meeting to scare you, maybe worse." My stomach churned. Emily's hands shook. "Jack, my boss got a call from Dan Mitchell. They know I'm digging. I'm scared. I promised to protect her, but fear gnawed at me." That afternoon, Lisa showed up at my house, Ethan trailing behind, clutching a skateboard. "Jack, Karen's spreading lies," she said, voice shaking. "She told everyone you're a thief, that you broke into her house." Ethan looked up, eyes wide. "She said she'd take our house if Mom doesn't vote against you." I hugged them both, my resolve hardening. Then twist number two landed. Mrs. Jenkins called, whispering, "Jack, I found something in my attic. An old HOA ledger from before Karen. It shows she faked her election as president. She bribed the old board." My jaw dropped. Karen's power wasn't even legitimate. I drove to Claire's apartment, desperate for answers. She opened the door, mascara streaking her face. "I didn't want to betray you," she sobbed. "Karen has videos of me, stuff from college. She'd ruined my life." I softened, seeing her fear, but pressed her. "Where's Vince staying?" She hesitated, then whispered, "The Blue Tide Motel, room 12. He's meeting Karen before the HOA vote." I left, heart racing, knowing I had to confront Vince before he got to me. But as I drove, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, a photo of Lisa's house, with a red X painted on her door. The message read, "Stay away from the meeting, or they're next." Karen's reach was tightening, and the hook was clear. The HOA meeting wasn't just a vote, it was a showdown, and someone wasn't walking away. The red X on Lisa's door was a warning, but it only fueled my fire. Karen had a hitman, Vince, ready to silence me at the HOA meeting, and her grip on Seaside Pines was a noose around us all. Mike's boat, my last connection to him, was at stake, along with my home and my neighbors' lives. With Ryan's recording, Claire's betrayal, and Mrs. Jenkins' ledger proving Karen's fake election, I had enough to bury her. But the meeting was tomorrow, and Vince was already in town. What happened next wasn't just a fight for justice. It was a race against time, with twists that exposed Karen's vilest plan yet, and a betrayal that cut deeper than I ever expected. I drove to the Blue Tide Motel at dusk, my heart pounding as I parked across from room 12. Vince's car, a black sedan, sat outside, and I saw a shadow move behind the curtains. I didn't plan to confront him, just watch. But as I waited, Claire pulled up, her face pale as she knocked on Vince's door. My stomach dropped. Twist number one, Claire wasn't just Karen's spy. She was meeting her hitman. I snapped photos, my hand shaking, and texted Tom, "Claire's with Vince. Motel. We're screwed." He replied, "Stay put. I'm calling a contact at the sheriff's office." I waited, sweat beading on my neck, as Claire slipped inside. Minutes later, she left, clutching a small bag. I followed her to a gas station, staying out of sight. She sat in her car, sobbing, then pulled out a burner phone. I crept closer, catching her words. "Karen, I gave Vince the cash. He'll scare Sullivan at the meeting, not kill him. I swear." My blood ran cold. Claire was trying to limit the damage, but she was still in deep. I confronted her, stepping into the light. "Claire, why?" She gasped, dropping the phone. "Jack, I had to. Karen's got my sister's medical records. She'll cut her off. Her tears were real, and I saw her pain, but I couldn't trust her anymore. Give me something real or I turn you in, I said. She nodded, voice breaking. Karen's meeting Vince tonight at her beach house. She's planning to plant drugs on your boat. I called Lisa, warning her to stay safe with Ethan. Her voice shook. Jack, someone's watching my house. Ethan saw a guy in a hoodie last night. I promised to end this, then met Tom at his office. He spread out the files, Ryan's recording, and Mrs. Jenkins' ledger. Jack, we've got fraud, blackmail, and attempted murder, he said. But we need Vince in cuffs to seal it. Emily joined us, her eyes bloodshot. I got a threat today, she whispered. A note saying, stop digging or your kid pays. I don't even have kids, but it's Karen. Her fear mirrored mine, and I hugged her, promising we'd protect each other. Then came twist number 2. Mrs. Jenkins called, her voice frantic. Jack, I found more in the attic. A tape from an old HOA meeting. Karen's voice, admitting she rigged the vote to oust the old president. She laughed about it. My jaw dropped. The tape was dynamite, but dangerous. I drove to Mrs. Jenkins' house, where she handed me the cassette, her hands trembling. She came by today, Jack. Said I'd regret helping you. Her fear gutted me. She was 70, and Karen was terrorizing her. I hid the tape in my truck, but as I left, headlights followed me. It was Greg's SUV, tailing close. I sped up, losing him in a maze of backroads, my heart racing. That night, I staked out Karen's beach house with Tom. We hid in the dunes, watching Vince arrive. Karen greeted him, her voice carrying. The drugs go on Sullivan's boat tomorrow, she said. Make it look real. Vince nodded, lighting a cigarette. My phone buzzed, a text from Ryan. Karen knows about the tape. She's sending Greg to Jenkins' house. Help her. My blood froze. Twist number 3. Karen was one step ahead, targeting Mrs. Jenkins to destroy the evidence. I told Tom to stay on Vince while I raced to save her. The HOA meeting was hours away, and Karen's trap was closing. The hook was undeniable. If I didn't act fast, Mrs. Jenkins would pay, and my boat, Mike's memory, would be framed as a drug stash, ending my fight for good. Karen's plan to frame me with drugs and target Mrs. Jenkins pushed me to the edge. The HOA meeting was hours away, and her hitman, Vince, was ready to make it my last stand. Mike's boat, my home, and Seaside Pines were all on the line. With Ryan's recording, the stolen files, and the old HOA tape, I had enough to bury her, but Karen was always one step ahead. The final showdown revealed her darkest secret yet, and the price she paid, $450,000, and her freedom, wasn't just justice. It was a lesson in fighting back. What happened at that meeting changed our town forever. I sped to Mrs. Jenkins' house, heart racing, praying I wasn't too late. Her porch light was off, and the door was ajar. I crept inside, finding her trembling in the kitchen, a knife in hand. Jack, Greg was here, she whispered. He took my phone, said I'd pay for talking. I hugged her, promising safety, and called Tom. He'd stayed on Vince, tailing him to the meeting hall. Jack, get here now, he said. Vince is setting up something in the back room. I helped Mrs. Jenkins to Lisa's house, where Ethan hugged her tight. Lisa's eyes were fierce. And this, Jack, for all of us. At the meeting hall, the air buzzed with tension. Neighbors filled the chairs, whispering as Karen stood at the podium, her smile sharp. Tonight, we vote to seize Sullivan's dock for the good of our community, she said, holding up the fake survey. I slipped in, clutching files and tape, with Ryan and Emily behind me. Claire was there, avoiding my gaze. Then twist number 1 hit. Ryan stepped forward, voice shaking. Karen's lying. She vandalized Jack's boat and paid me to forge signatures. Gasps filled the room. Karen's face paled, but she snapped, he's a liar. Sit down. I didn't let her recover. I plugged the old HOA tape into a player, and Karen's voice echoed, laughing about rigging her election. Neighbors murmured, shocked. Then I played Ryan's recording of her ordering Vince to deal with Sullivan. Karen's eyes darted to the back door, where Vince stood, glaring. Twist number 2. Emily stood up, holding bank records. Karen stole $150,000 from HOA funds and works with Coastal Ventures to scam our land, she shouted. The room erupted, neighbors yelling. Karen screamed, "You'll regret this," but her power was crumbling. Then came the final twist. Claire, tears streaming, walked to the podium. "I helped her," she confessed, voice breaking. "She blackmailed me, but I'm done." She handed me a USB drive with Vince's emails, proving he'd planted drugs on my boat that morning. Sheriff's deputies, tipped off by Tom, stormed in. They arrested Vince, who shouted, "Karen paid me," as they cuffed him. Karen tried to run, but deputies grabbed her, her perfect hair falling loose. The crowd cheered, some crying, as she was dragged out, screaming about her cousin Dan. The aftermath was surreal. In court, Karen faced charges of fraud, racketeering, and attempted murder. The judge, unmoved by her tears, sentenced her to 10 years and a $450,000 fine for damages to me and the HOA. Dan Mitchell resigned, exposed by the files. Claire and Ryan testified, earning lighter penalties for cooperating. My boat was cleaned up, the red paint gone, and neighbors helped repaint it, turning it into a community symbol. At a barbecue on my dock, Lisa raised a glass. To Jack, who fought for us all. Mrs. Jenkins smiled, saying, "Never let a bully win." The moral lesson was clear. Standing up to tyrants, no matter how powerful, takes courage, but saves communities. Seaside Pines yield, with new HOA leaders who listened. I sat on my boat that night, coffee in hand, feeling Mike's presence. Karen's empire fell because we stood together, neighbors, friends, even those who'd been her pawns. Her $450,000 fine wasn't just money. It was proof that justice catches up when you fight for what's right. Share your own HOA horror stories below. We're stronger together.